As you practice, develop your practice, the hardest part is maintaining mindfulness, the strength and the continuity of mindfulness. And particularly having a job, going to work, it uses up a lot of mental and physical energy, and that drains away. At the same time, your mindfulness tends to slip, becomes weaker. So your main goal or task is to try and maintain mindfulness through the day. As you work, keep coming back to the present moment, keep establishing mindfulness. As you learn to do that, then when you come to do formal sitting, walking meditation, maybe in your free time, you'll be able to maintain more concentration, more calm. And if you really manage to do that, be able to maintain your mindfulness at work, and can come home and keep practicing, or you'll get very good results. It will go very well.
Okay. Could you ask Arjun about 32 parts of the body? Been doing that practice on the way to work, on the way home from work, and I do Vipassana at home. I sit for Anapanasati and then Vipassana at home. But the 32 parts, the way I'm practicing at the moment is I'm going through them, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, and trying to imagine them in my mind. I'm just wondering if that's actually the right way, because I'm not sure if I'm actually getting any traction with that.
You just haven't done it enough. You need to keep doing it. The 32 parts, as you've described, keep doing that, and sooner or later you'll start to get more push from that, more calm.
So is that the right way to do it, in terms of imagining the parts of the body? So the head hair, the body hair, and then the insides and the bone marrow, that sort of stuff.
You might, for instance, suggest you're doing the right thing. For instance, you take the hair of the head.
Okay, so
You're sitting down, you might visualize it, what it looks like, an individual hair, the mass of the hair, how it is over time. So every day it gets a little bit dirtier, greasier, and then you have to wash it. You're just running through like that, by visualizing and thinking about it, concentrating in that way.
Okay. And the other kammatthana that I've been practicing is contemplation of death. And I'm just wanting to know if Ajahn has a particular way, because the way that I'm doing it at the moment is simply to recite something that I've read in the Dhammapada, which is about the body being like a clay pot. This body will lie on the earth one day without life, without value, as useless as a burned log, and trying to use that to spur a sense of urgency in my practice. But I'm finding that there's friction there in terms of it becoming a bit anxious, because I understand that this is such a valuable life that we have, or that I have, and I don't want to waste it. So I'm trying to find the balance between doing that practice such that it's beneficial as opposed to a source of anxiety.
You have to use the death reflection, particularly with your current life situation. Like, reflect, when you die, what can you take with you? Nothing of the material world. The money you earn, the possessions you gain, the people you love, you can't take any of them with you when you die. Keep contemplating like that to boost your urgency to meditate, to practice. You get a sense of what practice is more important than anything else. Because death is coming, and I'll lose all this other stuff. He said if you keep contemplating like this, you might reach a point where you feel ready and a sense of enough of earning money and living in the world. You might want to go off and become a monastic and train in that way.
And can you ask Ajahn how he knew that he wanted to be? Because I feel this growing, but it's kind of hard to know when the lesson plan ceases to be as a layperson and practicing versus as a monastic or a bhikkhu and practicing. So I'm just trying to work out when, is there something that will tell me that that it is time, or is it something that you just make up your mind whenever?
He said generally it comes when one reaches a point, meditating regularly, practicing regularly, when it reaches a point one senses it's ready. It's time to leave all this behind. There's no point carrying on in the world now. It's time to just devote myself to the Dhamma and go to the monastery or whatever. The classic comparison you gave is, it's like somebody's seen that the house is on fire and it's time to leave. And if it's really on fire, you see it's on fire, you don't waste any more time, you don't think about it, you go and you leave. You reach that point in your meditation, in your contemplation, where you realise it's time to go. And you don't really want to stay anymore as a lay person. You're ready to go.
Okay. If you could thank Ajahn and just wish him a long, happy and peaceful life, and may he be happy, may he be successful, may he be liberated.
He says when you're ready, then you should come and ordain as a monk.
I will. Tell him I will when I'm ready.
It's as if someone keeps practicing meditation, keeps trying to improve their practice, understand the Dhamma more, then usually they reach a point where they can see that the lay life is a bit more limited. You've got to earn money and you have to use your time and energy in many different things, whereas they'll see, the best opportunity to really pursue this practice now is actually in the monastery or the monastic life.
I suppose the sort of the core of really what's going on inside of me all the time is like I've got all this criticalness inside of me. Like I'm really like lacking in tolerance of things. Just like there's not much sabai, I suppose is the word. And I suppose I would appreciate some sort of advice on like how to maybe use meditation or practice in some way that sort of really gets at that, because like I don't really think I'm making much progress in that, and that's the thing that sort of defines how I react to things in life and make decisions and so on. That makes sense.
It's really a matter of training. You seem to understand your own character. Once you understand your character, you have to train to deal with particular weaknesses, say if it's the fault-finding mind or the critical mind. You really have to develop the metta, the tolerance, the kindness to counter that, the positive thinking to counter that. And it's a matter of training, because you know the problem, you know where to look. So every time you notice the fault-finding, the critical mind coming up, to change that back to a more positive thought, kindness, tolerance, letting go, and just be willing to work with that, train that. That's what you have to do.
I thank you. I suppose my perception of my experience with staying in monasteries, sometimes it often, if I'm not around the big Ajahn who has lots of metta, if I'm just around my peers, there's this sort of the critical, the perfectionist stuff that I'm talking about. It seems to make things worse in that situation. It doesn't sort of help. It doesn't help me chill out. It sort of makes it worse. And I suppose that's one thing that I'm shying away from getting more involved because of that. Like I like hanging around with the Ajahns because they got lots of metta, but there seems to be an increasing it sort of makes my criticalness worse, or the critical perfectionist attitude, because everything has to be pinky and
He says maybe don't aim too high and expect to completely rid yourself of this quality or this habit overnight. Aim just in the present moment, day by day or period by period, just work on shorter periods. Maybe when you wake up in the morning, say you're staying in a monastery and your tendency is to go out, you're finding fault in others or getting caught into different kinds of aversion. Just make your resolve, well, for this morning, I'm not going to give in to the fault-finding mind. And obviously you also have to bring up the reflection on metta and how you can really bring out a sense of metta into your heart and try and maintain that for the whole morning. So you go back to your hut or your rest place and you have a rest, then in the afternoon you do it again. But for this afternoon I'm not going to give in to this fault-finding mind. And obviously it might keep returning and you just know it. That's already half the job, is just knowing any kilesa, any kind of mental defilement. You have to know it first before you can abandon it. So the fact that you're aware of it already, you just keep that in as your short-term goal, is just to know it. And then, okay, in this period of time, I'm going to try, say, for one day or half a day, not to give in to it. And just keep working like that, keep training yourself in that way. But don't expect, I've got to get rid of all this fault-finding mind, critical mind in one day, or whatever. You're not going to be able to do that. It should be more practical. This is the core of the practice, so it's not something that one's going to just sort of pass over very quickly. It's very much going to be a long-term practice, getting to deal with one particular character wisely. And the Buddha said that what we're developing is called right thought, right attitude, sammasankappa. And for some people, it's their tendency is towards sensuality, lust and sensuality of different kinds, and they're always having to pull their mind back from that, using, say, a super and contemplating and to do kind of stuff. Other people tend more towards dosa, aversion, negativity, and having to pull their mind back with metta. But the aim, whatever your particular character, it's always to be developing this mindfulness, knowing the mood, the particular habit of mind, the way you think, the mood, the mental state, and then finding a way to counteract it, to balance the mind, bring it back to this place of balance in the middle. So it's just knowing things, but not following the mood. It could be the mood of sensuality, it could be anger. Learning to establish mindfulness and bring the mind back just to the place of knowing, and not giving in to the mood, not following it.
36. I feel like 14 years in Belgium.
He says you can still ordain. He says it'll never be that you'll be able to get beyond this and then you'll be ready to come in the monastery. It's something you'd have to come and work through. And that's the whole point of the monastic training in life, is to work through these things. Okay. Even if you don't ordain or come to live in the monastery. Here's a monk in the monastery, very similar. Always thinking with a critical mind.
นี่ธรรมดา
Says it's quite an ordinary, quite common that many people